behind. They're all fired up. What we got to do? First place, our defense has got to go out there and take the ball. And when we get the ball, we got to have 11 people that's going to do their job and try to score every time you get the football. If we do that, we'll be all right. Do that, we'll be all right.
Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Football University with me, Matt Cadell. And yes, this is where we talk anything and everything football, Bama related, NFL, college, we do it all. We find a way to bring it back to the University of Alabama. Yes, so glad to have you here. Shouts out to the student section, all the fans in the student section. RTR, we're feeling a lot better, and we're going to discuss everything from the Ole Miss game to the recap of, Bama kind of hitting the stride. Things we need to improve on. Jalen MILROE, Tommy REES, that Bama defense, and kind of previewing the Mississippi State game this week, and talk about saving, talk about it all. This is the place to do it here at Football University with me, Matt Cadell. Yeah, so get in the student section. Shouts out to Quentin McCats, Lori Cadell, DeMarco Brooks in the house, everybody, Van Edwards. Listen, so let's get it started. Let's go to Jeff Stapleton. He says, listen, hey, Van, I was happy Bama played a good game. I know we made mistakes. Still just wanted to tell you that. So, yeah, Bama did play a good game. And we're going to start right there. Bama versus Ole Miss recap. And, it was in Tuscaloosa, first SEC home game. Lane Kiffin coming into town. It was a pupil beat the master, kind of how like Sark and Kirby and Jimmo have done in the past. But it was a beautiful Saturday down there in Tuscaloosa on the capstone. And it was our first SEC test. And, having Ole Miss, that Vonnet offense, Jackson Dart, Lane Kiffin, Pete Golden is coming back for a reunion. It was very interesting to see. So I will say that, just thoughts. I think that, eventually the second half is where Alabama looked like Alabama. I think we made the adjustments, and I want to give credit to the coaching staff, the players. I don't know what happened at halftime. They made the right adjustments. They were able to, move along and make this game, that much more dominant. But I will say this, we got some areas to improve on. I will say this, my first notes, I think we have to really improve on. Let me say, I think the first area we have to improve on is red zone offense. I think, when you get it past the 20 and areas get condensed, where windows are tighter, I think that we have to improve that. I think we've got to be a little bit more creative. Maybe we can stick with the run game a little bit more, try to have different throws. Hopefully Tommy Rees, if you're out there tuned into Football University, let's get creative in the red zone. I love what you did. I will say these things. These are the things I love that Tommy Rees did. He played the MILROE strengths. You know, he did a lot of more quick passes. We saw a lot more pistol. We saw jet sweeps. We saw quick screens, quick passes, quarterback design runs. I thought that was really good. I think those are good building blocks for Tommy Rees, Jalen Milroe to really work on. I just need Tommy Rees to go out there, look in the NFL, look at I'm telling you, go and look at what the Baltimore Ravens and Greg Roman did with Lamar Jackson in that Super Bowl run, and kind of listen, we run pistol. They run a pistol heavy. They might have, a running back and a fullback to the right of him. You can really run triple option. I think we can do some things like that in the red zone, especially with Mississippi State coming up, that they have a pretty good defense. Although they got torched by LSU, they're going to be firing in all cylinders, playing at home, looking to, Mississippi State always plays Alabama tough. So, and I think this is a good test for us going on the road because, listen, Jalen Milroe didn't get any snaps in the road versus South Florida. So I think it's important he gets accustomed to playing on the road, hostile environments, having to, kind of go through adversity. Will the team lead the victory on the road? And so I think it's important that Alabama continues to improve at their red zone offense efficiency, and just work on creative ways to get the ball in the end zone. And, everybody want to talk about the block punch. Shouts out to Ja'Cory Brooks. We got the ball on the 1 yard line and we were in shotgun. And I think we probably won't see that moving forward. I was surprised we went to shotgun because Tommy Rees does a lot of quarterback sneaks from the I formation. I thought that was an opportune time to do that. But you live and learn. I think this is a good stepping stone for our team to, especially the confidence that Tommy Rees, Jalen Milroe kind of still work some things out, how to make adjustments, how to get creative, play to the strengths. Now they put some things on film that hopefully we can build on moving forward as we go through this SEC stretch. So yeah, I just want to shout out. And can I shout out our defense? Our defense looked amazing. Malachi Moore looks like, to me, he's already the Jim Thorpe Award finalist. That goes to the best DB. So Malachi Moore, if you're out there, continue to improve. Terry Arnold, man, he's making plays. Him and Kool-Aid looking like they're probably the top 2 defensive back duo out there. Listen, that defense looks good. I need the defense to continue to be solid. We need Deontay Lawson to get back healthy, but the guys that came in after him, Jahad Campbell, Blackshire, Justin Jefferson made a big play on special teams, causing a fumble. I'm glad to see us get turnovers. That's something I feel like our defense kind of missed. We saw helmets popping on the ground, like we were hitting guys. It's good to see our defense be physical and aggressive, led by the leadership of Kevin Steele. But listen, I think our defense is good enough. We're just going to have to improve on offense. And, I want to talk about Jalen Milroe. I said we got to do things to really help him be creative, especially in the red zone. I think Jalen Milroe still has things to improve on, pocket awareness mainly. It was a couple times where, the offensive line, shouts out to the offensive line. They did a better job blocking. We had a 100-yard rusher and Jason McClellan. They wore down Ole Miss's, defense towards the end of the game when we needed to just be dominant and run the clock. And I will say this. I think Jalen Milroe needs to improve on his pocket awareness, his pocket presence, being able to step up in the pocket. Sometimes I feel like he ran away from where his safety net was, which is in the middle. If he can just step up sometimes, if pressure's coming up from the middle, then you might want to, scramble. And I think that goes to Tommy Rees. Maybe Tommy Rees, we can get in our formation, really do a lot more play action, kind of move the pocket, do some sprint right passes. It seems like when we do the sprint right passes, the out passes, those routes seem to be getting intercepted. This is just my observation. So, but yeah, I just think we need to see, yeah, Tommy Rees continue to build on that. Jalen MILROE needs to continue to improve. I mean, he had big plays. He converted on some key third times. Still work on his touch, his accuracy. But I mean, little known fact, he outplayed Jason Dart. And Jason Dart was leading the SEC in just about all statistical categories: passing efficiency, yards, QBR, whatever you want to say. But listen, MILROE outplayed him. So it is what it is. But so let's get to the student section. Y'all are rocking and rolling. Shouts out to Reese McDuffie in the house. Roll Tide. Jeff Stapleton says, yeah, I celebrate 24 hours, man. I know we had to fix some things, but hey, they could, OLE like a team should. I really love the second half. And, I really like how we came through adversity. A lot of character shows how you handle adversity. And these guys coming off South Florida, as a team, not looking the best. The players had a team meeting. Had some tough conversations. It looks like they had a good week of practice. Still, that first half was still kind of, neck and neck. It just looked like a defensive battle. Offensively, we were moving balls, but like I said, when we get our red zone efficiency, we need to have a different, more creative playbook to really get the ball in the end zone. And I know MILROE had the interception. If he could take it back, he would have threw it just to Burton and let Jermaine Burton, he would think he was right at the 2-yard line, 3-yard line. If he just throws it to him, the way as effective and impactful as Jermaine Burton is, he can maybe make a wiggle, make a shake, and maybe get in, maybe if not get in the end zone, at least get it to the one. Then you say, hey, do we go for it? Do we get in the quarterback sneak? Do we get, try to do some creative things offensively? So, I do think that's important for offense to be creative. But, I think our defense is good enough. Our defense is going to have to continue to improve. I was really impressed by the defensive line getting pressure, putting pressure on all the sacks. I think we had maybe like 5 or 6 sacks. Tim Smith had their unsung hero, Tim Keenan, Latham, Payne, Boy, all those guys, they were playing as a unit. And Dallas Turner, man, listen, he's been going crazy the past 2 games. I think he's got like 3.5 sacks, 4.5 sacks in the past. No, 4.5 sacks in the past 2 games. He's leading the SEC. Listen, he needs to continue to have that improvement because, listen, the schedule's going to get harder and harder. And Chris Braswell doing his thing. So really impressed with the front 7. The linebackers, Blackshire, when their time came in, Jahad Campbell, those guys made plays when Lawson went down. So Trevor Marshall, I think he still needs to continue to improve in pass defense. Still seems like we're a step slower out of position, but I think we'll continue to improve in the secondary. Listen, I mentioned Terrion Arnold. Kool-Aid dropped a pick. Kool-Aid, no more drop picks. It's time for you to enforce yourself in October. October is coming up, and this is the stretch of the season. The Ole Miss game was key for our season this year because that was going to show, how good we were going to be for the rest of the SEC. So, listen, the SEC is going to be very, very interesting. I'm telling you, this is going to be a crazy year of college football, and we will get into that. So let's go back to the student section. Van Edwards says, listen, Rome wasn't built in a day. It was burnt down one. We were building instead of tearing down. So I have high hopes for this squad. I do. Rome wasn't built in a day. And one thing I love about this team, Coach Saban mentioned about Jalen MILROE, he's continuing to learn. These guys are hungry because I think they're truly backs against the wall. Everybody's looking at the stats and they're saying, Alabama's not this offensively. Defense is pretty good, but they don't have it offensively. And I think that's just going to motivate our team, a.k.a. MILROE, Tommy Rees, the offensive line, the receivers are doing. I think that's just going to motivate these guys to really get it rocking and rolling. We're going to need them to get it rocking and rolling as a unit to really propel this team moving forward. But I like what we saw So yeah, I think we're building it. And I love one thing. Another point I love about this team, Ben, and the student section, we're not peaking too soon. It's been times in the past where I felt like Alabama teams, kind of peaked so soon, throughout the season. We were just hitting on all cylinders, maybe week 4, week 3, week 5. And then we kind of digressed as the season went on and kind of didn't finish strong throughout the season. So with this team, I think they're able to continue to improve, continue to build, and hopefully we peak in the college football playoff, in the national championship, maybe have a rematch versus Texas. I'm just saying, listen, it can happen. This is a crazy college football season. So let's go to the student section. Shouts out to B Jammin. He's just very good point, Van. The 2-time, so I knew Alabama fans were live. Yeah, I could hear it through the second. Man, they played low places. I mean, they had the place rocking and rolling. I mean, it was just, you can't beat Alabama on Saturdays. There's nothing like it when the tide's rolling, especially when the defense, that's what we're used to seeing. And listen, we continue to play around MILROE's strengths and get creative, find the throws that he is good at. Listen, we're going to be a tough team to defend. Let's stay in the student section. Shouts out to William Brown. He says, "Roll Tide, everybody." Yes, Roll Tide. Mr. Jones said, "I like the way they blocked the punt. Was nice." Yeah, and I got to give myself 2 cents. When Coach Saban first got there, I was I was a receiver on the punt block team, and I had 2 block punts, I believe, my senior year. I will say this. You look at that punt block team, we got Ja'Cory Brooks, Isaiah Bond. We got a couple receivers out there, and it just made me probably Jalen Hill. So we got a lot of speed guys that if we need to get a block punt, we can do it. And I feel like I helped set that trend. So shouts out to McNeil here at Football University. Not to took my own, but I just love to see guys giving it their heart in special teams. And that's what special teams does. That's another facet of the game that I feel like it can really affect, and it affected the game, and we can really make things happen and help shift that momentum. But offensively, like I said, we had the ball at the 1-yard line. We didn't get it in. I believe James Knox mentioned this right here. He says, having the ball at the 1-yard line, I don't think you'll see a lot of shotgun, given the problems with the snaps. I look back, I think MILROE was able to get his hands on the snap, but I still think, listen, him and Seth McLaughlin, every morning when they wake up and eat breakfast, they need to be working on snaps, shotgun, pistol, under center, whatever. They need to be working on snaps. When they leave practice, working on snaps. Another thing, MILROE, I mentioned he needs to work on his pocket awareness, moving in the pocket, accuracy. Another thing he needs to work on, and it's just a simple thing, but I think it helps us out so much. When we're running the zone read option, RPOs, zone read option, and he hands the ball off, he's still standing still. I still think it's important that he carries the play fake. I know that's a bad habit that I thought Bryce Young, who I'll get into later, was struggling with last year. I feel like he could have, I don't care how good you are, you still need to carry the play fake, because you never know who are you going to pull defensively and how that can open up that hole. So Jalen MILROE, if you're listening, carry out your play fakes, even with you hand the ball off, but act like you have the ball. That way you can really fool these guys and we can really get creative. If you continue to do that, that's going to really help make our running game even that much more dynamic. So the details, the little things, if we can continue to work on, I need MILROE to work on his play fakes. So yeah, to James Knox's point, I think we'll see more pistol. I would love to see pistol heavy, bring out elephant, bring out the D lineman, bring it all, especially on the goal line. But I think we're able to really, I gotta say, Tommy Rees was in his bag the second half, able to take shots deep. The emergence of Jalen Hill, Jermaine Burton, Listen, don't sleep on guys like Kobe Prentice. Kendrick Law got some touches. I'm going to be excited to see how we go moving forward. So let's stay in the student section. Let's go. Jeff Stapleton had a great question. He says, answer this, Matt. Why is it before we played Ole Miss, everybody said that they was elite, and after Bama won, everybody said they were ranked 14, 15 before since Bama beat them. Ole Miss is sorry. That's just how it is, you know. A lot of people have so much Bama hate. You know, they get tired of Bama being successful. They like to say after Bama beats a team, oh, that team was overrated or they weren't that good enough instead of just giving Alabama props. But you know, I don't care. Listen, one thing we can take from this football team, it's all about Alabama, baby. And, it's Alabama versus everybody, even in the SEC. Nobody likes it. Auburn doesn't like it. They're one of our most hated rivals. The Vols don't like us. Georgia fans definitely don't like us. Ole Miss fans don't like us. So it's like we're in the SEC, but it's like we're kind of a loner because we've been so dominant historically. We're the premier program in the SEC. So that's the only reason they hate. Haters gonna hate. It is what it is. At the end of the day, we got to be like the Alabama football team and knock out the outside noise and just focus on what we can do to improve and just focus on this Mississippi State game here. So great question by Jeff Stapleton. Woo, man, y'all have been rocking and rolling. Shouts out to Justin Sumlin. Jeff Stapleton. Yeah, I kind of shouts out to Justin Summerlin. Jeff Stapleton, yes, he says Milroe's learning the game. His main problem is throwing in traffic. He's got to read the field, don't telegraph it. The defense is getting better at week to week. Yeah, he's got to continue to work on these things. And it made me to my point. It's like, I wonder who is the unofficial QB coach on game day, on the sideline. Is it Ken Wisenhunt? Is it Wiggins? Is it one of the coaches out there? But it's somebody that's got to be in his ear on the sideline to really get him right. Is it golly, I forgot who's the analyst. I should know this. But it used to be one of the coach for the Cowboys, coach for Missouri. But yeah, I think it's important that MILROE continues to not throw into traffic. And listen, another thing he can work on is not take sacks. It was a couple third downs where if he was just throwing it out of bounds, listen, we wouldn't as lost as much yardage. So I think he's still got to find a way to kind of work on his clock, but still maintaining poise and listen, this guy's coming at me. Let me just toss this ball out of bounds or get on the ground. So MILROE, if you're out there tuning Football University, continue to get better at your craft, continue to be a student at the game. Hey, look at the greats. Like, look at Tom Brady, look at Peyton Manning, look at Jalen Hurts, look at Lamar Jackson. Like, look at these guys and see what they do. Look at Tua. I mean, Tua's probably the MVP right now. So yeah, let's make it happen. Listen, Van Everson, I'm so excited to see Blackshire doing this thing. Yes, shouts out to Blackshire and Campbell. I mean, those guys came in and did their thing. It's like we know how to rotate. We're rotating linebackers, and I want to see our running backs. I'm ready to see Justice Haynes. Can we get him some love, man? I can't wait to see Justice Haynes because we're gonna need him in this stretch when we go. Excuse me, Mississippi State, Texas A&M, Arkansas, LSU, Tennessee. We're going to need them in the stretch. So I know when it's time, Justin Haynes is going to be out there. So, yeah, let's stay in the student section. Y'all are rocking and rolling. Shouts out to Van Thor Edwards. Let's see. Someone had a great comment. Roll Tide and rise up. Shouts out to all them Falcons fans out there. Yeah, I know. Shouts out to my wife. She's a big Falcons fan. And Roll Tide and rise up is a big Falcons fan. So I really like that Campbell and Blackshire tandem. Yeah, listen, I'm not going to lie. Listen, the way Blackshire plays linebacker, listen, I think he could be and maybe this is overreaction Monday, but with his size, how big he is, I mean, you can use him coming off the edge. You can have him playing linebacker inside, kind of like Micah Parsons, how the Dallas Cowboys use Micah Parsons. And I know all the Cowboys fans out there, listen, we know y'all got problems, but listen, I'm just saying defensively, like Blackshaw could be that guy for us. So yeah, shouts out to Linda P, Roll Tide, and Rise Up. All the Falcons fans, they stay in here making it happen. Shouts out to Justin Sumler. Let's see. Roll Tide and Rise Up said second half was what this team can be. If we can put a full game together consistent with the second half, we will be on to something. Yeah, I think we can do that. I think it's important that our offense needs to start becoming creative but aggressive. If we, because teams, if they win the coin toss, they're going to defer. Sometimes we're going to have to go out there and just be like, we want the ball, and just go out there and drive it down these teams' throats and be aggressive and get points on the board. With this defense, just imagine our team needs to practice getting at least 14 points, 2 touchdowns per quarter. I mean, I'm going to set the stakes high, at least 2 touchdowns, 14 to 17 points per quarter. If we can do that, we're going to be so freaking dominant because we're going to run the ball. We're going to, keep our defense off the field. And that's what really kind of hurt us versus Texas. We kept throwing our defense out there, and there's only so much you can do versus a Sark-led offense. But I think it's important that we continue to improve, and we can at least get 14 to 17 points. That should be our goal, guys. We got to get touchdowns. We can work on the red zone efficiency, coming creative in the red zone. I think we could do that because, if we get up 14-0, 17-0 on teams and put pressure on teams to throw the ball, I hate to say it, we kind of have the game in our hands because we can just run the ball and really milk the clock, especially with the new clock rules, and just come out that third quarter and score like maybe 10 points. We got the best kicker in America. So, if we can really get and put pressure on other teams, we could be really deadly this year. So let's stay in the student section. Justin Summerlin says, yeah, if we can play the first. Oh, man, click the wrong one. It says Black shares a throwback. When he relaxes, he would be Reuben Foster. Yeah, Todd Thumb. I heard rumor was Reuben Foster was on the sideline Saturday. So if Reuben Foster was on the sideline, Coach Saban, you need to hire this man, give him all access pass tickets, let him be an unofficial analyst, sideline coach, whatever, game day coach, whatever, chaplain, whatever you need to do. We need him in that sideline because I feel like seeing Reuben Foster, the players he can talk to those guys and get those guys going crazy. So I really like to see that. So yeah, shouts out to Reuben Foster. Justin Summerlin says, this is a comment I was trying to get to. He says, if we can play the first half like we did the second half, we have teams beat before the third quarter. Yeah, like I said, to your point, to my point, Justin Summerlin, shouts out to Justin Summerlin. Listen, if we could put pressure on teams and get maybe 13, 14 points, 17 points a quarter or a half, I mean, ideally you want to get 21, 24, but if we get up like that, can you imagine what we could do offensively with how we like to ground and pound the game, pound the rock, especially in the fourth quarter? But, you got to do it that third quarter coming out of halftime. You got to go at least get a touchdown or 3 points. Continue to get the ball in the red zone and get a touchdown here too. Listen, I think we'll find the good rhythm for our team to be successful. Great point here by Robbie Toe. He says, Saban in mind that jam targeting call at all. I didn't think it was a targeting call. I mean, I think they might have called targeting because he used the crown of his helmet, but his helmet did not hit the other guy's helmet, I don't believe. I think it hit his shoulder. But I know they're trying to, make the game a lot safer. But listen, guys, it's football. Like, at some point we got to stop being soft. Like this targeting call is just getting out of control. And listen, you can have the penalty, but don't take the player out for the game. Now, if he has 2 targeting calls and he has an unsportsmanlike penalty, then yeah, you need to take him out the game. But listen, I don't think that deserves being taken out the game. I think we've got to revamp these rules. And listen, if it's crown of the helmet to the helmet and the guy's wobbly, then obviously, yeah. But I feel like, excuse me, a lot of these targeting calls aren't targeting calls when you watch the replay. I thought it was a good solid hit. So shouts out to Jan Miller. So yeah, shouts out to Jan Miller. Jeff Stapleton says, listen, it helps when defense is in the right spot. Man, yeah, these guys were deep, sound, Lane does a lot of stuff offensively, kind of like Sark. He's going to try to move you east, west, and then you saw quarterback draw up the middle. He spreads you and then run you up the middle. He was trying to get Kushan Jenkins rolling. Listen, I think it's things we could do, continue to be creative around Jalen MILROE offensively and just play to our strengths and make the game simple, easy, confident for MILROE. We can rock and roll and make it happen. So let's see. Mr. Jones says, I wish all the coordinators would get on the sidelines, but it don't look like that's going to happen. Listen, yeah, especially I think for MILROE sometime, I think it's important he can really talk to REES, and REES could be in his ear, like see him face to face and be like, listen, just throw this right here because it's right wide open. It is what it is. So let's get to my notes. So I talked about Bama defense. I talk about our red zone efficiency. We got to continue to improve on that. Oh, excuse me. REES getting creative. MILROE got things to improve on. Pocket awareness, accuracy, stepping up in the pocket, still continue to carry the play fake. And I mentioned Malachi Moore. I feel like Malachi Moore is the thought finalist. I know for me right now, I don't know who's a safety star playing better than him. Shouts out to Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs had a really, really, really good game. We just saw multiple. We can rotate so many guys on the back end. So I'm just so excited about this defense. I love the aggressiveness approach by Kevin Steele. So listen, talk Malachi Moore, talked about. So let's go to the NFL because y'all are going straight to it. Like, listen, Dolphins, man, let's just talk about it. Listen, Tua Tagovailoa, and listen, the Miami Dolphins, they are rocking and rolling. I mean, they had Tua. They scored 10 touchdowns. Tommy Reese, if you're out there, look at what Mike McDaniel's creativity offensively does with so many motions, using Tyreek Hill, all those type of things. Listen, we could get a little creative in the red zone. That way we can really keep defenses on their heels and really score effectively. But yeah, the Miami Dolphins put up 70 points, a 70 burger on the Denver Broncos. It was personal for Mike McDaniels, Tua, all those guys. But Tua, I mean, I said it now, he's my leading MVP candidate for this year. The numbers he's putting up, the QBR efficiency, I mean, I believe he's leading in yards. I believe he's leading the accuracy, QBR, yards per attempt. I mean, he's just leading in all categories. But shouts out to the Miami Dolphins. I said it here. I know we got Eagles fans on here, so shouts out to the Eagles fans. Fly, Eagles, fly. What it would be, how nice it would be for Eagles Dolphins Super Bowl, 2 former Bama quarterbacks. I mean, you can't beat that. I mean, that's just Tua versus Jalen. The story continues. I mean, that would just be awesome. So I just want Tua to stay healthy. But I love the creativity from Mike McDaniels. He comes from that Kyle Shanahan lineage. And he's just, he's got his opportunity. He's just become super creative. And I think, you see the weapons that he has and you see the weapons that we have. I think we can be creative and make things happen offensively with our offense. But yeah, the Miami Dolphins rolling. And it got me thinking, they had the greatest show on turf statement. When um, the St. Louis Rams with Kurt Warner, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, Marshall Falk, all those guys, they had the greatest show on turf term. But listen, you're looking at this Miami Dolphins team. Some people try to say it was the Chiefs back in a couple of years ago. But you look at this Miami Dolphins team putting up 70 points. They might be the greatest show on turf in the NFL and maybe NFL history. I want to get your thoughts. I mean, is this probably one of the greatest offenses you've seen? And listen, they put up 70 without Jalen Waddle. Like, that just blows my mind. You put up 70 without Jalen Waddle. Like, that is crazy. You have two 100-yard rushers. I mean, that is just crazy. And 2 assists the fourth quarter. Like, I mean, that is unreal. So I wanted to put it in the put it to the student section. Does Tua and the Miami Dolphins have the greatest show on turf? But I mean, listen, that is crazy. Tua putting up 70 points. Mike McDaniel's creativity. Tommy Rees, look at Mike McDaniel's work on creativity. So let's go. B Jammer says, yeah, they did this without Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle, he was nursing a hamstring, so he didn't play. So listen, I mean, could you imagine if Jalen Waddle had to play? I mean, they would have scored 85 points with ease. So shouts out to the Miami Dolphins. So listen, Van Edwards. Oh, here we go. Good conversation. Dude, that 99-02 Rams offense was perfection. Marshall Faulk was the key to it all. Greatest combo back ever, and people sleep on him. I agree, and I say this, I coach high school football and, in the past or whatnot, and young teams ask me, young players, they might look at, Derrick Henry or Josh Jacobs, and all these guys are good, or Adrian Peterson. But to me, the best film, if I could, mold a perfect running back, watch that 99-02 offense and watch Marshall Faulk. To me, he's the probably best all-around running back. I mean, explosiveness, elusiveness, catch, pass, and running routes out the backfield. Like, he could, to me, Marshall Faulk is the standard when it comes to that, just as a complete overall running back. So to your point, Van Edwards, I agree. So listen, shouts out to all the NFL fans. Listen, Niners are strong all around the ball. I can't imagine having to play them weapons at every position. Like I said, Tommy Rees. Look at Kyle Shanahan. I mean, look at what he does with Deebo Samuel. You have a Deebo Samuel and Kendrick Law. Let's run some Wildcat with Kendrick Law. I mean, let's run some could you imagine having the backfield with like Justice Haynes and Kendrick Law and sending you come out in the pistol formation, we motion, MILROE goes out the receiver, Kendrick Law comes the running back, Justice Haynes, and we motion with like Isaiah Bond and Kobe Prentice. Like, that is going to give defenses fits, and they're not going to be used to seeing that on the field. So hopefully we keep these creative plays and we show them, especially we're going to need it versus Texas A&M because that's going to be a challenging game, but we got to start with Mississippi State. So great comments. Y'all are rocking and rolling. Justin Summerlin says, roll tide. I mean, y'all are in here. Listen, shouts out to the Eagles. Flag is fire. Are at the 10 fixing the score. Yeah, Jalen Hurts and them about to make it happen. Hopefully Devontae Smith don't have a big game because I'm trying to win fantasy. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, so we talked about the Niners. Like, listen, I think those are things we can continue to get better. We talked about the Falcons. Speaking of the Falcons, 2 Bama guys stood up there in Motor City in Detroit Lions game versus the Atlanta Falcons. Bijan Robinson went ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs, and everybody is saying, Jahmyr Gibbs he's not as good as Bijan Robinson. Well, Jahmyr Gibbs got the start, and he looked like the better running back versus the Atlanta Falcons. And Brian Branch, I'm telling you, we said it here a couple of weeks ago. Brian Branch is easily up to my pick for Defensive Rookie of the Year. If it's not Brian Branch or Will Anderson, Will Anderson had a blocked field goal yesterday. I mean, this guy is a stud. So, but listen, Brian Branch is a problem. Listen, the guy had 3 breakups, pass breakups. Had 3 pass defense breakups, 3 tackles for loss. Listen, it's going to be Brian Branch is a problem. He's already having a Pro Bowl like year to me. And I don't understand how he fell to 45. I mean, these guys do not know talent. I said it. Brian Branch should have been a top 15 pick. But because he's so Swiss Army knife. You look at Malachi Moore. Malachi Moore can play safety. He can play nickel. He can play star. I mean, that's the evolution of successful DBs is what you need in the NFL. So I had to shout out Jahmyr Gibbs and I had to shout out Brian Branch. Let's stay in the Sioux section. Y'all are ripping and rolling about the NFL. We got Niners fans in here. We got Eagles fans in here. Fly, Eagles, fly. Stephen Hicks, how you doing, brother? Shout out to Auntie Velma Studemire in the building. Listen, the Niners, they're rolling. Jeff Stapleton says last time a team scored 70 points was 1966, man. I know, that's what I'm saying. Listen, I think the Miami Dolphins, they have a track team. They got speed on top of speed. You got Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Achin from Texas A&M, Raheem Mostert. I mean, they just got a 4x1 track team, and Mike McDaniels is just like playing mad and just being creative, coming up with plays just to defend these guys. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Now, like I said, Tommy Rees, get creative. So shouts out to the Niners fans. Shouts out. Van Edwards says, Roger Craig is another dual threat RB that no one gives flowers to anymore. I agree. I love watching those old T. Cole's got a good question, those older NFL games. Do you think Alabama offense should be zone read and read option? I just think Alabama offense needs to play the Jalen Milroe strength, zone read option, pistol, triple option, pistol heavy, kind of get to how the Lamar Jackson offense was doing. Pistol heavy, I formation. I feel like I formation that could throw a lot of teams out because we play fake and we pound the rock because Jason McClellan, that offensive line. Jason McClellan, I believe, is leading. He's the best running back in the SEC. I believe he's leading the nation in missed tackles. And listen, when he gets behind that offensive line, they are running, grounding, and pounding. So we need to be multiple to answer your question. We need to be so multiple and find our multiple threats, whether it's zone read option. I mentioned how Milroe has to carry the play fake. If he hands the ball off, don't just stand there because that creates a lot of pull from that defender, that defense. So those are things I think little things we can continue to improve and help our defense. Just imagine we come out jumping out on the team 17-0. Whew, with that defense, man, I'm not going to say you can cancel Christmas, but man, that's the way we run the ball and physical with the quarterback runs. I think we can still run triple option from the pistol, if we do a pistol heavy set or, our formation, our heavy, we can do a lot of stuff with the wing guy. You can get really, really, really creative. So Tommy Rees, I need you to get your creative juices going. Go back, watch throwback football. Watch how they did it back in the day. It's not that hard. We just want to get in the end zone. That's all I care about. So shouts out to T. Cole. Jeff Roy said, I was proud of the way Bama came out and played the second half. I think we were all proud. How they played the SEC opponent, top 15 opponent, Lane Kiffin. We actually dominated the second half and kind of took their will. So I was glad to see that. Justin Summerlin says Swift is going Oh, B. Jamin says first Super Bowl I remember watching Bears Patriots back in '85. Super Bowl shuffle. Yeah, I was 10 years old. You're still a young man. But yeah, that was a refrigerated pair. They would line him up in the backfield and let him get in the end zone sometimes. Listen, I love the NFL talk. T. Cole says Justin Jefferson needs a quarterback. Listen, speaking of quarterback, we know it's Mac Jones, the Patriots, he's still undefeated versus the Jets. I believe he's 5-0 versus Zach Wilson. And a little controversy kind of broke up with Mac Jones and the New York Football Jets. It was one play, it was a running play. I think it was like a quarterback sneak. I don't know if the ball was whistled at, but C.J. Mosley, Bama on Bama crime, like tackle Mac Jones to the ground, and there was a lot of pushing and shoving. But then Mac Jones gets up, and Sauce Gardner claims Mac Jones took a cheap shot to his private parts, but none of the film shows that. And, basically Sauce Gardner was like pushing Mac Jones, pushing to the ground. So, NFL fines are coming. But listen, speaking of quarterbacks, speaking of the New York Jets, shouts out to Joe Namath, Broadway Joe, the New York Jets legend, Super Bowl champion. He's the most famous Jet of them all. If you ever watch an NFL game, but watch on Twitter/X, Joe Namath's tweets about Zach Wilson, they are so entertaining. He's like, what is Zach Wilson doing? He just got to step up in the pocket. So shouts out to Joe Namath. I think he's 80-something years old, but he's still tweeting away, man. He's the man, Broadway Joe. So Joe Willie Namath, man, shouts out to him. So listen, he says, I hope our offense goes bomb away on the stage. Shut them dang Cowboys up. Listen, going to Mississippi State, I believe it's a night game. It's going to be a lot of those cowbells rocking and rolling. And, hey, that's a sneaky place. They're going to come ready to play. So I think it's important, looking at Jaden Daniels, LSU, how they were able to be effective in the passing game. I mean, I know Mississippi State played South Carolina this past week. I believe South Carolina won. Listen, I saw Shane Beamer throw a lot of good passes against this team. So it'll be interesting to see how Alabama plays Mississippi State, especially Jalen MILROE. I think it's important he comes out, really, focus on improving on the road because we got such a big test. He needs to have a really confident, solid game versus Mississippi State because, listen, we got Texas A&M, probably one of the toughest teams we're going to play this year. You just look at their defensive front. Listen, they are just really, really, really good. They are able to they're able to hit you up front. I know they beat Auburn. Auburn 2017, they had a backup quarterback, Max Johnson, who looked really good. But listen, I'm just saying, don't sleep on Texas A&M. Those guys are coming. But listen, South Carolina, Mississippi State put up 30 points. South Carolina beat Mississippi State 37-30. So this is going to be a test for us. Like I said, it's a crazy year in college football. I think it's important that Alabama just continues to focus on Mississippi State. Just focus on winning, beat Mississippi State. Don't try to look ahead. We just need to focus on week by week. And I think because everybody's just counting us out, I think that's just going to play in our favor. Stephen Hicks, shouts out to 49ers fans, said 49er run was the Bama of the NFL. And let's go to the student section before Joe Stapleton says Cowboys are more annoying than fingernails across the chalkboard. Listen, those playing in Starkville, Mississippi, and playing in those games in Mississippi, those sound of those cowbells do not get out of your head. So maybe Monday, even the next day, that Sunday, you're still kind of subconsciously hearing the ring of those cowbells. So I'm just saying, Uh, oh, man, Edwards. He says, listen, Matt, fun question here. In your opinion, Jared Rice or Randy Moss? If you could have either of them in prime, who you taking? I'm going to tell you the guy who I fell in love with as made me want to play receiver, and that is Jerry Rice. Yes, Jerry Rice to me always, and he did it in the era when the passing game to me wasn't all that great. Now, Randy Moss, he's just an athletic freak. I mean, he's 6'4", 6'5", running like a 4.2. I mean, hands soft as pillows. But to me, Jerry Rice, I mean, this guy ran like a 4.5. You know, he wasn't the fastest, but he's so technically sound. His craft, his route running, he's able to get off, move DBs, influence them. So, listen, I'm going Jerry Rice all day. For me, Stephen Hicks agrees with me, Jerry Rice, but Randy Moss is no joke. I mean, don't sleep on Randy Moss. So y'all are. Shouts out to this part. I got a fever. The only prescription is more cowbells. Shouts out to that Saturday Night Live Will Ferrell skit with the cowbell. I mean, that's so funny. I mean, you can't beat that. Yeah, Jerry Rice's work ethic was just second to none, man. Edwards. I mean, it was just unreal. So let's see. Let's see. Justin Summerlin says, Matt, what's your score prediction for Alabama, Mississippi State? And do you think Ole Miss can give LSU a hard time? Let me tell you this. I'm so glad we got Ole Miss out the way because the reason I say that, Lane, for some odd reason, after he plays Alabama, he has no issue with anybody else moving forward. I do think LSU, they're playing in Oxford. That could be a sneaky game coming off a loss. Listen, don't sleep on Ole Miss being able, maybe possibly, to win that game. Ole Miss is going to give Texas A&M problems. They're going to give everybody else. They play everybody else tough. Texas A&M always give LSU problems. So, like I said, I think it's important that here for Alabama that we just focus on Mississippi State and get ready for these cowbells and go out there and keep those cowbells silent. But yeah, score prediction. Oh man, I really don't have a score prediction. I'm gonna say maybe Alabama 20, I'll say 35-10, 35-14, something like that. Yeah, I'll say that. I'll say it'll be like that. Something like, I don't see the defense giving up 14 points. I say 35-10, maybe 35-7. I don't even see that. Maybe Mississippi State gets a late touchdown, but listen, yeah, we got a lot to go. Listen, they got a good defense too. B. Jammin says Will Rogers will be slinging the ball. Got to get pressure. Listen, Will Rogers, he's a savvy SEC vet. Listen, we're playing two good quarterbacks going back to back before we go to College Station. So, like I said, this game is just as important as the Ole Miss game. This Mississippi State team got a very good aggressive defense. They're solid defensively. So, we got to come correct. And playing on the road, we got to be able to handle that adversity and go out there because we're going to need it. We need MILROE to be playing confident on the road, already have an SEC road victory on his belt going into Texas A&M because College Station is going to be a 2:30 kickoff. It's going to be rocking and rolling. So we got to come ready and prepare because Texas A&M is coming with it. So one last question, man, Edward says, let's see, we're going to go rapid fire. I understand Emmitt Smith played behind an all-time great line, but why do people act like he wasn't consistent? Not a Cowboy fan, but was a legend. Yeah, Emmitt Smith was one of the greats, all-time greats. I mean, he could just do it all. The running back out of Florida, I believe Pensacola. Yeah, he was just, shouts out to the Cowboys fans. I don't know if we got any on here, but yeah, Emmitt Smith, like B. Jammin says, was awesome. And we got a few score predictions in here. Stephen Hicks says Bama 31-14. Justin Summerlin says Bama 42-6. I don't know. We might get a 40 burger. I'm going to say more of a 35. I don't know if we're going to try to show everything before going to College Station. I think we're going to try to hold some things in the bag. I think it's 3 games we're going to be holding things in the bag for: Texas A&M, LSU, and Auburn. I think those are the 3 games. We might not show everything leading up to that, but listen, I just want to win. That's all I care. Just win, baby. Like the old Al Davis owner used to say for the silver and black Raiders. But yeah, 42-6. I'll take it all day. Listen, Sweet Home Bama says, I don't know about Ole Miss the rest of the way. Losing to Bama seems to take the win from the sales of Lane train. Listen, they might take the wins of the sales, but listen, Jackson Dart, Ole Miss at home versus LSU. Man, I think that's gonna be a night game too. Ooh, hot excited, man. Oh, you know, Lane's going to be having tricks in his bag. I think he's going to have more of his guys healthier. And I think our defense is better than LSU's defense. Now, it's, you know, playing at Oxford is always, having to play on the road is always tough in the SEC. So that's why I say it's so important for Jalen Milroe to get this a good victory, confident victory versus Mississippi State on the road, dealing with all those cowbells, because the next week we got to go to College Station. So that's going to be another big game for us. Justin Summerlin says, I believe both of them, we have 2 running backs over 100 yards. Listen, I wouldn't be surprised if we do that. Alabama 22, LSU. Who are you taking? Alabama 22. Oh, great comment right here by T. Cole. He says, who you taking? Alabama 2020, LSU 2019. Who winning the game? Ooh, man, that's a tough question. Basically, it's the same team. I don't want to give you my answer just because they played in 2019 and Alabama lost. Only reason we lost because we had turnovers, we muffed the punt, and Tua was coming off injury. So I'm gonna say, hey, as much as I want to say Bama 2020 team, I'm gonna say LSU. Psych. I'm taking Alabama all the day. What do you think? What do you thought I was gonna say? LSU? Really? No. I mean, I respect Joe Burrow, Joe Brady, all those guys. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, but I'm going 2020 Bama. I'm going 2020 Bama all day. B. Jammin said, let's go rapid fire real quick. With pistol formation, not give Milroe a little more time to play action. To your point, I think the pistol and I formation. I think I formation really, if we can run the ball out of the I formation, get some stretch runs, maybe some counters, play action. We could do a lot. We can get creative. That's why I'm saying Tommy Rees needs to get creative. Stephen Hicks says Bama needs to get a 40-plus win. Van Edwards says, I'm taking Alabama 2020, and here's why. Tua nearly pulled it off. 2020 Alabama went undefeated through an SEC schedule and beat a talented OSU team like a drum. I agree. Case in point argument. To your point. So listen, y'all thought I was gonna say LSU. I didn't. I fooled you all. Can I get to my next point? Speaking of Alabama and NFL, shouts out to D'Amico Ryans, former Alabama player, that is now the head coach for the Houston Texans. Listen, they got a first road victory versus the Jacksonville Jaguars in Duval County. Listen, they beat the brakes off of them. I told you Will Anderson had a blocked field goal. Listen, I just want to shout out D'Amico Ryans. Man, he's doing this thing. I'm proud of him. You know, if Saban never retired, you know, D'Amico, if you don't want the Super Bowl, you want to come back to T-Town, you can do it. But I don't know if he'll do that. But yeah, let's keep going rapid fire. Jeff Saban said Eagles 3, Tampa Bay 0. Listen, this looks like one of those games, first team to 14 to 21 might win the game. So let's go. Mr. Jones says Jimbo sounds like a car salesman. Listen, we don't need to get too caught up in Texas A&M. We know we're going to play them. Let's focus on Mississippi State and the Cowbells. Jeff Saban says, follow the same game plan laid out. Shutting those Cowbells Cowbells up. Says, Matt, why do you think we're not doing more read options? I think it's gonna come. I think we got it in the bag. I just think sometimes we're just trying. I think it's still a work in progress. I think Reese is trying to find out more about MILROE offensively. Like you got to think Reese is still the first time OC. He got a big road victory good victory in the SEC home. And I think it's still a work in progress. I think you're gonna see more of the read options. I think you're gonna see what more Jalen MILROE can do. I think, like I said earlier, I think it's important that Jalen MILROE carries the play fake out when he hands the ball off. So that's just my 2 cents. But I think we will see more of that. I think we're going to see some things versus, like I said, 3 games versus Texas A&M, LSU, and Auburn, because those are kind of going to be our biggest 3 games that we got to really show some new things. So, yeah, shouts out to Van Edwards, all the fans of the student section, Jeff Saberton, Whitwell Sports, B Jammin, Eric Notch, Lori Cadell, Justin Summerlin, William Bryan, Stephen Hicks, Van Thor Edwards, Mr. Jones, T. Cole, Sweet Home Bama 222, T. Cole, I mentioned, William Bryant. Shouts out to you all in the student section. If I left out anybody, please forgive me. Please come back next week, same time, same channel here at Football University, and let's talk football, where we talk anything and everything football. So let's make it happen. And roll tide, roll to all the Bama fans. Enjoy this week of football. Enjoy Monday Night Football. Looks like the Bucks are driving on the Eagles. So all the Eagles fans out there, listen, flags fly. We're pulling for all the Bama guys. So RTR, this is what we do. And see y'all next week. Enjoy a week of football, and let's roll tide. Come back next week. See you next week. Peace.